Here are the facts, here is the presented evidence, and here is the verdict. We show the information objectively and without bias. We are here to present you the case in a condensed video. And you, the viewer, can answer the question: did the jury get it right? We are True Crime Online. The Nicolae Miu Case. The incident. On July 30, 2022, Nicolae Miu and his wife leave their home in Prior Lake, Minnesota. They plan to meet friends and spend the day floating the Apple River, a popular destination for tubers in Wisconsin's St. Croix County. Miu's group starts their float. Sandra Miu later tells police the only person that left the group during the float was her husband Nicolae, who left to find a phone that someone in their party had lost. Using scuba gear, Miu starts searching the river near a bridge. A video recording shows Miu carrying goggles with a snorkel attached as he approaches a group of tubers. Miu is told, "Get away." The group accuses Miu of looking for little girls, and the situation escalates when a larger group approaches. The video shows multiple people yelling at Miu and at least one person touching his shoulder. Court documents state, from the video, it does appear to show people on three sides of Nicolae at different distances. The video and elapsed time shows opportunity for Nicolae to leave the confrontation. Over a 3-minute period the situation escalated, and this resulted in several people being stabbed and injured by Miu. The first 911 calls come in, reporting a stabbing on the Apple River near the Sunrise Bridge in the town of Somerset. Later reports from 911 calls indicated there were 4 victims with wounds to the mid to upper body. Deputies find 17-year-old Isaac Schuman without vital signs and perform life-saving measures. Schuman later died at Lakeview Hospital in Stillwater, Minnesota. Isaac Schuman, 17, was killed and 4 others, all in their 20s, were injured. Dante Carlson, Tony Carlson, A.J. Martin and Roy Madison. Witnesses report seeing Miu downriver at a park where tubers exit the river. Police converge on a park and detain Miu. He is interviewed that same night and tells police, "I was in self-defense mode after the tubers attacked him." Miu is charged with first-degree intentional homicide, and 4 counts of attempted first-degree intentional homicide. The case. On April 1, 2024, jury selection is scheduled to begin in the trial of Nicolae Miu. He faced up to life in prison. The prosecution's main argument was that Miu was the aggressor, and he had many opportunities to leave the scene once the teens began yelling at him and taunting him. They say he chose to stay, and he escalated the situation when he punched a woman who confronted him and ordered him to leave the teens alone. They also point to Miu's lies to law enforcement about not having had a knife with him and using it during the fight. The defense argued Miu was reasonably scared for his life after he was surrounded by a group of aggressive drunk strangers who were yelling at him and getting in his personal space, so he used his knife to protect himself. After the teens began harassing him, he tried to leave the teens at one point, and he says they had followed him. Miu's attorneys also say he was surprised and scared when the women that he thought were coming over to help him began yelling at him also. His attorneys acknowledge that he made a mistake by lying to law enforcement, but he was in shock after the fight. Joanne Cockfield, who shot phone video of the fight that killed Isaac Schuman, admitted to making antagonizing comments to Miu, along with other members of their group. Some of Miu's tubing party said they were too far back, upriver, to see what exactly happened during the physical altercation. Ariel Chaguez, part of Miu's tubing group, provided the most detailed account of the deadly confrontation thus far from the Miu group perspective. According to his account, he went to check on Miu when Miu's wife said he was in trouble. At first, Chaguez recounted, the group of young people appeared to be joking with Miu, and that somebody had taken his snorkel and thrown it down the river. But as he got closer, he saw the people started hitting Miu, and that a girl went to attack him, and he defended himself. Chaguez said he initially thought Miu was just using his hands in the struggle, but when he got closer, he started to see the blood everywhere. Owen Peliquin, who was part of Isaac Schuman's tubing group, described their initial encounter with Nicolae Miu on the Apple River that day. He recalled first Miu standing really weirdly, with a snorkel in ankle-high water, then said Miu weirdly sprinted at us. In his closing argument, prosecutor Carl Anderson said all defendant Nicolae Miu had to do was walk away to prevent a senseless act of violence. Anderson said Miu's actions were not in self-defense, instead telling the jury they were horrific and senseless. In his closing argument, defense attorney Corey County said, Nicolae Miu doesn't have to prove he acted in self-defense. The state has to prove that his belief was unreasonable. County said a group of drunk teenagers saw an opportunity to torment a man who was by himself. The jury was made up of 6 men and 6 women. Court administration has said jurors ranged in age from their 20s all the way up to a woman in her 90s. One juror said the age range was beneficial to the deliberations, giving different perspectives with everyone having a voice and everyone contributing. This juror described the process as a team effort. The jury found Nicolae Miu guilty of battery for striking Madison Cohen. The jurors said the group first began its deliberations by specifically discussing this battery charge. They explained even though it was the least severe count, it was the physical altercation between the defendant and Madison Cohen that escalated the chaotic confrontation between Miu and the group of Isaac Schuman and his friends. The Schuman group admitted to drinking on the river that day. Video captures them taunting Miu and calling him names. A juror in his 30s said that the Madison Cohen battery charge was a really big thing for the whole case because that basically amounted to who threw the first punch and when things got physical. And we looked at that as it was his word against the other witnesses. There was no video of that. He stood on the stand and was lying so much, even to the investigators as well. He admitted to pushing her away. There were more people that said he punched her. And we are forced to look purely at the evidence. So, we went with that he had punched her. Schuman's friend Joanne Cockfield was recording the interaction on his cell phone camera. The video provided the critical evidence in the case. But the juror pointed out the 3-minute and 20-second video missed the confrontation between Miu and Madison Cohen. The jurors said while the group discussed Miu's claims of self-defense, and they scrutinized the 30 pages of jury instructions for legal definitions, there was never any momentum for an acquittal or a justification for the use of deadly force. One of the jurors in his 60s said a couple of elements he focused on was Miu's apparent skill in the way he pulled out and ultimately used the knife, and the fact that he never said anything to warn the group around him that he had a deadly weapon. The juror also believed prosecutors established there were escape routes for Miu to leave the situation before it ended with Schuman dead and 4 others injured. The juror said, "I don't think he had much choice but to go on the stand. I think if he really was going to plead self-defense and have a case, I think he needed to take the stand to explain himself. In this case, it actually hurt him because his story did not match with other witnesses." The juror added, "The American criminal justice system is not perfect. We did the best we could. We just wanted justice to be served." The verdict. The jury deliberated for less than 7 hours before reaching a verdict. Miu was found guilty of first-degree reckless homicide for killing 17-year-old Isaac Schuman, as well as 4 counts of first-degree recklessly endangering safety for stabbing Roy Madison, A.J. Martin, Tony Carlson and his brother Dante Carlson. The jury also found Miu guilty of battery for striking Madison Cohen. Sentencing is scheduled for the 31st of July 2024. Did the jury get it right? Let us know in the comments what you think of the case and the verdict. Thanks for watching. See you next time for more True Crime Online.